On Thursday, August 14th, the bold and the beautiful tightens the screws on two tracks that refuse to run parallel. Taylor Hayes pushing her wedding agenda to lock Ridge Forrester in place before Brooke Logan can reclaim him. And Will Spencer standing on the edge of a personal milestone as Electra Forrester signals she's ready to move their relationship forward, though not necessarily in the way he expects. The hour runs hot with decisions that keep getting delayed, invitations that feel like ultimatums, and a slow burn that could turn into a fireball if a single expectation goes unmet. Taylor is all business. She isn't coy about her goal, and she isn't virtuous about the method. She plans a wedding to preempt Brooke, and she does it with the crisp calm of someone who's done the homework, printed the timeline, and circled the date. But even a plan this tight needs one thing she can't manufacture: Ridge's clarity. So she wants data, and she wants it fast. How did he feel after saving Brooke? What shifted? What woke up when he pulled Brooke back from danger, when he felt that old gravity that has pulled them together 1,000 times, and then some? Taylor asks like a surgeon, clean, direct, steady, but there's heat under the questions, because she knows they've danced this dance so often that muscle memory can ruin a future. She's not just asking, she's measuring. She reads his pauses. She times his answers. She looks for any flinch that says the rescue shook loose something she won't be able to control once it's back in the light. Ridge is not ready with the certainty she wants. He's proud of what he did, shaken by what almost happened, and unwilling to call any of it a sign from the universe, because the last time he followed a sign, it cost him months of fallout and a new round of apologies. He stalls without calling it stalling. He talks about logistics. He points to family obligations. He tips his hand with an "I just need a minute" that stretches into a long beat Taylor can hear even when he's silent. He isn't playing games. He's trying to be fair and finding out, again, that fairness in this triangle is a moving target. Taylor doesn't let him off the hook. She anchors her voice to the present. We are engaged. We are planning a wedding. You saved Brooke, and I respect that, but I need to know where your head is now. It isn't jealousy. It's triage. She won't stand at an altar she built for herself. She wants the man who shows up to be choosing her in real time, not repeating vows out of habit while his eyes drift. So she presses, not to bully him into compliance, but to force the truth to the surface where everyone can see it. She also knows, and this is the part she keeps off her face, that a wild card just flipped onto the table. Nick Marone went to Brooke with a proposal. Taylor may not have the intel yet, but the audience does, and that knowledge adds weight to every second of hesitation coming off Ridge. If Brooke has an option that isn't Ridge, then the math of the triangle changes. The door isn't just open. There's a man on the other side holding it steady and offering Brooke a path that doesn't involve clinging to an old loop. Nick's move doesn't erase Ridge, and it doesn't erase Taylor, but it does raise the price of indecision. Brooke, for her part, is in a familiar storm with a new shape. She was rescued by Ridge, and the rush of that moment is hard to ignore. She sees the history, hears the echoes, remembers all the times they found each other because gravity took the steering wheel. But she also sees the new offer laid out with mature intent by Nick, who is not trying to rewrite the past. He's trying to write a future that doesn't depend on whether Ridge can or can't cut a clean line. Brooke doesn't want to be a prize in a contest that never ends. She wants a choice that sticks. She wants to step towards something without betraying herself, and that means asking whether Ridge's heroics are a sign or just a story beat they've survived before. She doesn't answer Nick immediately because Brooke has learned that quick decisions in this town come with long consequences. Still, his proposal sits on her table like a ring box that won't close, and every time Ridge pauses, that box looks more like a plan and less like a fantasy. Back at Taylor's flank, the strategy is relentless but not cruel. She arranges tastings. She flips through venues. She talks about vows that reflect the life they're building, not the wars they've waged. It's efficient and focused, and it forces Ridge to exist in a future tense with her while his heart keeps glancing in the rearview mirror. Taylor hears the internal tug of war and tightens her grip. She knows what it looks like when a man tries to make everyone happy. It never lasts. So she pushes him to say out loud the thing he's been murmuring in his head: "I'm not ready to make a final call today." That buys her time and costs her peace, because a delay is better than a breakup, but a delay is also a crack that whispers, "Be careful." She will accept the pause and weaponize it, using each day to layer in memories that make backtracking harder. Ridge, stuck between a rescue high and a wedding countdown, leans on the tool he uses when he's lost. He becomes practical. He shifts meetings. He promises to be present at fittings. He talks about being grateful. He offers Taylor the best version of himself that exists when he's distracted. The man who shows up, handles what needs handling, and avoids triggering a fight by saying only what he can stand behind. But the camera can't stay with them forever, and across town, pressure builds in a different register. Will Spencer has been patient. Painfully, visibly patient. He has listened more than he has argued. He has learned how to lead with kindness even when his instincts tell him to sprint. He wants to be the man who doesn't scare off someone who's been through too much to hear a loud knock on the door. That effort has a cost. When you hold back for long enough, the restraint becomes a coil. Will's coil is tight. He isn't a saint. He's a young man who wants what he wants and is trying hard to want it in a way that respects the person he wants it with. Electra Forrester shows up with an answer that sounds simple and turns out to be complicated. She's ready to take the next step. The words hit Will like a match. He hears "next step" and feels permission flood his system. He sees a night he has sketched in his head in clean lines and soft light, a night where the pressure finally releases and they write a page that has been blank for too long. But Electra isn't reading from his script. She is coming from a different place, one marked by bruises that haven't faded and a reflex that still flinches when the room changes. Next step for her isn't a destination. It's a tempo change. Maybe it means they shut out the world and hold hands without counting the seconds. Maybe it means they kiss and let it last past the safe mark. Maybe it means she trusts him enough to sit with him in quiet and feel the ground under her feet without wondering if it's going to fall away. She is not teasing him. She is not dangling a promise she won't keep. She is doing the hardest work a person can do after pain, moving forward in a way that keeps her body and her heart in the same room. Will understands this in theory. In practice, he has to fight every impatient impulse live and in real time. He does not want to be the guy who pushes. He does not want to be the headline that reads, "He couldn't wait." But he also doesn't want to be the guy who swallows his own needs until they turn toxic. That tension is the scene. It's written across his jaw when he breathes through a pause. It's in his hands when he slows down because she reached for the brake. It's in his eyes when he realizes she's trusting him with something that isn't about sex at all. It's about whether he can hear her when she says, "this far tonight," and whether he can make that boundary feel like care instead of rejection. The show makes it clear Will is inches from either a breakthrough or an explosion. He can earn the moment by matching Electra's pace, or he can blow it by letting his frustration talk. He has been good for so long that the risk isn't that he'll suddenly turn cruel. The risk is that he'll let one sharp word undo weeks of steady patience. He is a Spencer. He is used to momentum, results, wins. Intimacy doesn't work on that schedule, and Electra, who has carried her trauma with a combination of grit and grace, is not an obstacle course he needs to clear. She's a person who has chosen him and is asking him to choose her with care. She shows up ready to try. That would be enough for most men, but Will isn't most men, and that can be good or bad depending on the minute. If she sets a limit, if she says kissing is the line tonight, if she says she wants to lie next to him and talk instead of taking it all the way, he will be tested. The outcome will tell us who he is when desire and respect collide. Does he steady his breathing, turn that coil into warmth, and make her feel safe enough to take another step next time? Or does he let that coil snap and say something that sounds like pressure even if he doesn't mean it that way? That's the pivot the episode keeps building toward, and it doesn't need a soundtrack to feel loud. Family names hover over all of it. The Forrester label adds scrutiny to Electra's choices. The Spencer brand amplifies Will's. These aren't quiet families, and the gossip machine never idles for long. One wrong word in a hallway can turn a private boundary into a public conversation neither of them wants. So they try to keep the moment contained. No big speeches. No grand gestures. Just two people in a room trying to get the temperature right. Back in the other storyline, Taylor continues to press, because momentum is the only protection she has against history. She is not asking Ridge to unremember Brooke. She is asking him to stand in the present and commit as the man he is now, not the man he becomes every time a crisis drags him back into old patterns. She keeps the details of the wedding grounded, no spectacle to mask uncertainty. If he balks at a flourish, she cuts it. If he reaches for a compromise, she offers one that doesn't cost her dignity. It's a smart play, and it works until it doesn't, because underneath the details is a binary that can't be managed with seating charts. Does he want to marry Taylor right now, or is he tolerating a plan because he's scared of the fallout if he says no? The rescue of Brooke keeps replaying in his head, and not just because it made him feel heroic. Moments like that are sticky. They make you feel like the universe made a choice for you, and all you have to do is say yes to it. Ridge tries not to be that man anymore, the one who calls adrenaline prophecy. But Taylor saw his eyes after the rescue. She knows what was in them. She isn't paranoid, she's paying attention. And she is brave enough to ask the question that could knock her plan sideways. If saving Brooke made you feel something that doesn't fit inside this engagement, I need to hear it now. He doesn't say it. Not today. He hedges and buys another day, another hour, another minute, and Taylor takes it because walking away without certainty would hurt worse than waiting one more beat. The wild variable is the one Taylor hasn't factored. Nick's proposal to Brooke isn't a cliffhanger for nothing. If Brooke takes that path, Ridge's hesitations lose oxygen. If she doesn't, they gain it. Either way, someone is about to get a call that changes the tone of the room. The show threads these beats without letting them fray into side quests. No comic relief that undercuts the stakes. No monologues that sand down the edges. Every scene pushes the story forward in small, meaningful clicks. Taylor presses. Ridge delays. Brooke weighs. Nick waits. Will hopes. Electra trusts on her terms. The drama is adult without being cold. Actions have weight, boundaries matter, and love isn't a magic trick that fixes old habits. It's a choice that has to be made and remade. The questions at the end of the hour are clean and sharp. Will Taylor's pressure produce clarity or backlash? Can Ridge earn a wedding by telling the truth before anyone drags it out of him? Does Brooke answer Nick with her head, her heart, or both? And in the quieter room that might be the loudest of all, does Will match Electra's pace and prove that patience isn't just a pose? Or does he let the coil snap and turn a long-awaited night into one more lesson about why rushing costs more than it pays? The episode positions everyone on a ledge without pushing them over. It trusts the characters to show who they are, and it trusts the audience to understand that restraint can be as dramatic as a confession. There's no filler, no wandering, no needless detours, just Taylor moving her plan down the field while Ridge tries to hold the line without lying to himself, and Will standing at the edge of an answer he's wanted for weeks while Electra insists that next step means safety first, not a checklist. If that sounds like two separate stories, it isn't. It's one theme played in two keys. Commitment means nothing if it ignores reality. Taylor's reality is Brooke. Ridge's reality is hesitation. Brooke's reality is options. Nick's reality is patience with a deadline. Will's reality is desire that must learn how to wait without sulking. Electra's reality is healing that refuses to be rushed just to keep someone else comfortable. On Thursday, August 14th, the bold and the beautiful lets each of them tell the truth in action, and that is where the episode finds its punch.